So let us take few more questions and answers in operating systems. The basic question is, what is operating system? The easiest answer would be, operating system is an interface between yourself, a user, and of course the computer. There is an interface, and this interface is known as the operating system. But operating system does more than this. So operating system is a program that manages the computer hardware. First of all, you can directly interact with your hardware, but for that you have to write various code for everything. System calls needs to be used. So it is not first of all feasible. Not I'll not say it is impossible, but not very feasible. For that, this operating system has various operating systems have come into existence. So it also provides the basis for application programs and act as an intermediary between a user and the computer hardware, of course. So it controls and coordinates the use of the hardware among various application programs for various users. You have various users using the system. You have your various programs or processes using the system. There are various resources, so resource has to be allocated. Everything has to be done efficiently. This is also being checked by operating system. So why is operating system viewed as a resource allocator and control program? See, a computer system has many resources, as I said, hardware and software. So they may be required to solve certain problem. Like they would require CPU time, memory space, and file storage space. Also the input-output devices, and so on and so forth. So operating system act as a manager for these resources. So it is viewed as a resource allocator. This OS is viewed also as a control program because it is going to manage, or it will manage the execution of user programs and also try to prevent all the errors and improper use of the computer. Computer by mean the hardware. What is a kernel? What do you mean by kernel? Kernel is a part of operating system. Sometimes kernel is the only operating system. Kernel always resides in the memory, right? So the most or the more common definition is that the OS is the one program running at all times on the computer. Operating system will run always. You can open your Photoshop. You can close your Photoshop. You can open your VLC player and you'll close your VLC player. But what about operating system? It will be closed only when you shut down the system. So this is known as kernel. With all else being the application program. What is a batch system? Batch system. Earlier, what used to happen? There were only one hardware, or various users can only get access to one system. So they assign their work, that is the job 1, job 2, job 3. All the users, they assign the job, and they would return after some time and collect the answer. So this was the concept of batch system. So batch systems are quite appropriate for executing large jobs that need little interaction. Because if you run a job and it will ask for some input or output or user interaction is there, you cannot go with the batch systems. The user can submit jobs and return later for the results. It is not necessary to wait while the job is processed. And operators batch together a job together with similar needs and run them through the computer as a group. So if jobs are many, because it is not, this is just an example that there are 3 jobs, but there can be 300 jobs or 3,000 jobs or 3 lakh jobs. So what happens? Categorization is done. So similar jobs are bunched together and then they are given to the hardware for processing. What is the advantage of multiprogramming? See, what is multiprogramming? What is multitasking? What is multiprocessing? Multiprogramming means the only thing you should learn is CPU should not sit idle, right? Multiprogramming means if some work is there or some process is running. Now this process is running, only one process can run on a CPU. What if this process is waiting for some input output? Then CPU is waiting idle. This process is waiting for some input output to be done. So this CPU burst time will be wasted. So in multiprogramming, what happens? Whenever some task or some process is waiting for some input output, the other job which is in ready queue is taken by CPU. And once this return, the CPU will return back to this previous job and it will relinquish this. So it's so fast that user understands that all my jobs or all my applications are running properly. So what is the advantage of multiprogramming? Multiprogramming increases the CPU utilization by organizing jobs so that the CPU always has one to execute. CPU will not be idle. So several jobs are placed in main memory and the processor is switched from job to job as needed to keep several jobs advancing while keeping the peripheral device in use. That is the input output which I was talking about. So multiprogramming is the first instance when the operating system must make decisions for the users. Therefore, this is quite a sophisticated job. What is an interactive computer system? What do you understand by interactive? A computer system with a user can interact. If it asks for input, you give input. If you ask for some constraint, you give constraint. All these things are in interactive computer system. So interactive computer system, it provides direct communication between the user and the system. So the user gives instruction to the operating system or to a program directly using a keyboard, a mouse, and waits for the immediate results. What do you mean by time sharing system? See, we have seen about multiprogramming, but time sharing systems or multitasking is also there. Some books say that multitasking and multiprogramming are same, but time sharing means what is done here is for a time t. Okay, one process is given to the CPU. When it is taken off, the other will given after the completion of time t. The other will go to CPU for this t time. Once this t time is over, the third will go. So all these jobs or all these processes will get an equal share of CPU timing. This is time sharing. So time sharing or multitasking is a logical extension of multiprogramming. That is why some books says that multiprogramming and multitasking are equivalent. So it allows many users to share the computers simultaneously. And it does so fast that all these users, they think that their job is done or CPU is doing their job. So the CPU execute multiple jobs by switching among them, and these jobs or process, they are known as context. So this kind of context switching. But the switches occur so frequently, so fast that the users can interact with each program while it is running. What are multiprocessor system and give their advantage? Multiprocessor system means, see, if you have a CPU, only one task or one process can execute on CPU. But what if you have multiple CPUs? Right? Now, two processes can at once run on the CPU. So multiprocessor system, they are also known as parallel system or tightly coupled systems. And these are the systems that have more than one processor. That is one core, one CPU. We call it 2-core, 4-core, dual-core, octa-core. Not 4-core, but we call it as a quad-core. So in close communication, sharing the computer bus and the clock and this sometimes memory also, and peripheral device. So the advantage is increased throughput, economy of scale, and increased reliability. If one of them fails, the other CPU is always available. What are different types of multiprocessing? As we have seen just multiprocessing, what are the different types of multiprocessing? You can have SMP, that is symmetric multiprocessing, or you can have asymmetric multiprocessing. These are two types of multiprocessing. So in SMP, that is symmetric multiprocessing, each processor run an identical copy of the OS. Each processor runs an identical copy of the OS, and these copies communicate with each other or one another as needed. So all processors are peers. That is why they are symmetric. For example, Windows NT, Solaris, Unix, Digital Unix, OS2, and Linux all does that. What about asymmetric processing? In asymmetric processing, each processor is assigned a specific task. So master process will control the system, and the other processor look to this master for instructions or predefined tasks. So they don't run in parallel. One will be the master, other will be dependent on this master. So it defines a master-slave relationship. For example, SunOS version 4. What is graceful degradation? What is graceful degradation? See, before going to the answer, if sometimes what happens? Let me give you an example. That something breaks. Okay, it may harm you. But if it breaks like this, that before causing any harm, this breaks without causing any harm. So it has gracefully broken, though it has broken, but it has not caused any substantial damage. So graceful degradation is like this only. In a multiprocessor system, what happens? Failure of one process will not halt the system, but it will only slow it down. So if there are 10 processors per se, if only one fails, or say 2 fail, then the remaining 9 or 8 pick up the work for the failed processor. So this ability to continue providing service is proportional to the surviving hardware. This is called the graceful degradation. What is dual mode operation? Dual mode, user mode, kernel mode. The dual mode operation provides us with the means of protecting and the operating system from wrong users and wrong users from one another. Operating system from wrong users and wrong users from one another. So user mode and monitor mode, these are two modes. So monitor mode are also known as the supervisor mode, and system mode or privilege mode. Mode bit is attached to the hardware of the computer in order to indirect or indicate the current mode. Mode bit 0 is the monitor mode and 1 is the user mode. What are privileged instructions? What are these privileged instructions? See, some of the machine instructions that may cause harm to a system are designated as the privileged instructions. So the hardware allows the privileged instructions to be executed only in the monitor mode, nowhere else. How can a user program disrupt the normal operation of a system? How can your user program is going to disturb the normal operations of a system? So a user program may disturb the normal operation of a system by issuing the, say, illegal input-output operations, by accessing memory locations within the OS itself, or refusing to relinquish or release the CPU. How is the protection of memory provided? Protection of memory is very important. How is this protection provided? See, the protection against illegal memory access is done using two registers. First, you have a base register, and then you have a limit register. So you have base plus limit. The base register holds the smallest physical address, and the limit register contains the size of the range. So the base and limit register can be loaded only by the OS using some specific privileged instructions only. This is how we provide the protection to the memory. What are various OS components? OS components consist of your process management, main memory management, file management, input-output system management, secondary storage management, networking, protection system, and command interpreter. There are various, these are few of them. What is a process? A program under execution is a process. Actually, a program is in itself not alive until unless it becomes a process or it gets the CPU burst time. So a process is a program which is under execution. So it is the unit of work in modern operating system. So a process is an active entity with a computer, this program counter specifying the next instruction to execute, and a set of associated resources. So it also includes the process stack containing the temporary data and data section containing the global variables. So process also is identified by its own data structure, which is known as PCB. We'll talk about this just now. What is a process state? And mention the various states of process. So process can be new, it can be ready, it can be terminated. So a process execute, it will change its states. The state of the process is defined by or in a part by the current activity of that process. So each process may be one of the following states. It can be new, can be running, waiting, ready, or terminated. Then the question comes, what is PCB? Process control block. See, each process, whenever it is created, so it contains something, the information of process will be there. So each process is represented in the operating system by a PCB, process control block. And it is also called as the task control block. So it contains many pieces of information associated with the specific process. It simply acts as a repository for information that may vary from process to process. So it contains process state, program counter, CPU register, CPU scheduling information, memory management information, accounting information, also the input-output status information. What is the use of job queues, ready queues, and device queues? When a process enters a system, they are put in some job queue. This queue consists of all the jobs in the system. The processes that are residing in the main memory now, they are ready and they are waiting to be executed. And they are kept in the ready queue. And the scheduler does the rest of the work. So the list of processes waiting for a particular input-output device, they are kept in the device queue. What do you mean by context switch? Context. Process is also known as a context. Switch means process to process transfer. So switching the CPU to another process requires saving the state of the old process and loading the saved state of the new process. So the task is known as switching one process to another switch. So the context of the process is represented in the PCB of a process. Now what is spooling? What do you mean by spooling? See, the full form of spooling is simultaneous peripheral operation online. So when we have two system, one is of high speed, one is of low speed. So how we are going to manage them? You manage them through spooling. So it is a high speed device, if you have a high speed device like a disk, which is interposed between a running program, and a low speed, high speed system, low speed device involved with, say, programming input output. Because printing, say for example printing, it takes a lot of time. So it deassociate the running program from the slow operation of the devices like printers, etc. What are system calls? System call provide the interface between a process and the operating system. Process and the operating system, there is an interfacing called the system calls. So system calls are also called as monitor call or the operating system specific call, function call. So when a system call is executed, it is treated by the hardware as software interrupt. See, let me tell you again. System calls, hardware understand it as a software interrupt. So control directly passes through the interrupt vector to a service routine in the operating system, and the mode bit is set to the monitor mode. List the services provided by an operating system. List the services provided by the operating system. So there are various services provided by the operating system. See, these few of them are, first of all, the process of program execution, input output operation, file system manipulation, communication, error detection, etc. What are two types of real-time systems? Hard and soft. So we have hard real-time system and soft real-time system. What is the difference between hard real-time system and soft real-time system? See, hard real-time system, it will guarantee that the critical tasks will complete on the time which is set, which is asked. But in a soft real-time system, the critical real-time task gets priority over the other. Here, though, the priority is the basic criteria, and it retains the priority until it completes. So soft real-time systems have more limited utility than do these hard counterparts. What is the difference between multi-programming and non-multi-programming? The operating system first picks and begins to execute one of the job, which is called as the process. So the job may have to wait for some task, such as say input output. In a non-multi-program system, the CPU would sit idle; it won't do anything. In a multi-program system, however, the operating system simply switches to another job. It will not wait. It will not sit idle. So when the job needs to wait, the CPU is scheduled to another job. Eventually, the first job, if it finishes waiting, it will get the CPU burst again. So as long as there is always some job to execute, the CPU will never sit idle. What are the design goals of an operating system? Design goals of an operating system. There are two main goals. First is your user goal and system goal. User would desire that the system should be convenient, efficient, easy to use, easy to learn, reliable, safe, fast. So the operating system should be easy to design, implement, and maintain. Also, it should be flexible, reliable, error-free, and efficient. So there are some of the requirements which are quite vague and they have no general solution. What are the 5 major categories of system calls? Process control, file management, device management, information maintenance, and communication. What is the use of fork and execv? Fork creates a process, execv does after that job. That is, the fork is a system call actually to create a new process. But execv is also a system call which is used after the fork by one of the two processes to replace the process memory space with a new program. So once the process is created, you use execv, which is again a system call, and use after the fork by one of the processes to replace the process memory space with a new program. Now define elapsed time, CPU time, and maximum CPU time. Elapsed CPU time is the total CPU time used by a process to date, and maximum CPU time is the maximum amount of CPU time a process may use.